So welcome everyone who's coming in. We're going to be getting started in just a minute or so. So please feel free to get comfortable. And a reminder that this is also streaming on YouTube for anyone who was not a member in 2021, but still wants to watch. And for all of you who are members, please just make sure that you are each logged into your own device so that when we get to the voting part later this evening, you can each vote. And also just letting you guys know we're doing a Q&A later in the evening. So if you have questions that come up throughout the earlier part of our presentation, please feel free to just pop those in the Q&A button down at the bottom of your screen. And we'll be monitoring that to answer those in the Q&A segment. So just make sure you don't put it in the chat section. Make sure to put it in the Q&A. Okay, great. I see we have a few more people coming in, so we'll give it just another couple of minutes. Hi, Jillian. Yes, everyone is muted. So all attendees are muted and your videos are off, so we cannot see you. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop those into the question and answer button down at the bottom there. Great, so we've got a few more folks coming in. So we'll just give it another minute or two. If you want to grab a snack, grab a beverage, get comfy, settle in. Great, so I see a few more people coming in. So we're just going to wait another minute or so, and then we'll jump in. Okay, so let's get going. So welcome everyone. Hopefully you are sitting somewhere comfy. You've got a beverage of your choice in hand, and you're ready to hear a bit about 2021 and how that went. So just a reminder for everyone that this is streaming on YouTube as well. So if you're not a member or if you're wanting to watch it and not participate, you're welcome to watch it on YouTube. If you are a member, be sure to be signed into your own device here so that every member can vote when we come to the election part of the evening. And if you along the way have any questions, please feel free to just pop those in the Q&A button down at the bottom. We will be monitoring that and answering questions when we get to the Q&A portion of the evening. So just be sure to put your questions in there if you'd like them answered rather than in the chat function. So with that, we are going to dive into our AGM. So we're saying goodbye to 2021 and welcoming in 2022 for an exciting year ahead. And before we actually get into the year in review, I would like to welcome Brennan Williams, who's just our Director of Advocacy, and he's going to speak a little bit about our relationship with the Squamish Nation and do a land acknowledgement. So Brennan, you can unmute yourself and turn your camera on.
Hi, hopefully everyone can see me. Thank you for joining us this evening. To begin, we'd like to acknowledge that we live, operate, and recreate on Squamish Umuk Hai Tamea meaning Squamish Nation sacred land in Squamish Snacham, which is language. This land has been and continues to be governed and stewarded by the Squamish people since time immemorial. In making this acknowledgement, Sorca commits to reconciliation with the Squamish Nation as being a priority for us. In taking steps to achieving this commitment, we continue to support the Squamish Nation Youth Mountain Bike Program, which provides opportunities for the Squamish Nation to connect with mountain biking. And we've formalized our relationship with the Squamish Nation with the objective of upholding their vision for their sacred land. And there's some more exciting news to come on the second point during tonight's presentation. All of us here are without a doubt extremely grateful to have the opportunity to ride bikes on the Squamish Nation's territory. In recognizing this, we ask our members and those who recreate here to ride responsibly and with respect for the Squamish Nation front of mind. We also ask that trail users reflect on whose land you are riding on and how you can support the mountain bike community and working in a good way with the nation. I'm going to add a link to the Squamish Nation Atlas in the chat, and I encourage you to explore the traditional place names for where you and your favorite trails are located. I'll also drop a link to an article that explores the importance of decolonizing trails when we ride our bikes. If you're joining us from outside of the Squamish Nation territory, I encourage you to share whose lands you're located on and to learn more about opportunities to contribute to reconciliation with these nations. Thank you all very much and enjoy the evening.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brennan. So here we have the agenda for tonight. So please have a look through. First, we'll be approving this agenda, and then we'll be approving the 2021 meeting minutes, which were distributed over email later this afternoon, and which I'll also put a link to in the chat in a moment in case you didn't have a chance to see those yet. We'll be doing a little review of what we did in the last year of our 20s and finding out what you did in the last year of your 20s. And then we'll be doing 2021 year in review, where you will hear from a few of our different board members about the things we got up to this year. We'll be looking at priorities for 2022. And then we will have that section where we can answer questions from you guys. So please do put those in the Q&A throughout the presentation so we can get to them at that point. And then we will be heading into the election for our 2021 and 2022 director positions that are open. So we're going to right now, we need to approve the agenda. So we're going to release a poll. So we just go back for a moment, release a poll to approve this agenda, and please just answer yes or no as to whether you approve it. So Vince, you can release that poll. Great, awesome. Seeing those roll in. Okay. We'll just give you another couple seconds there. Okay, so we have a majority on that. So we're good. The agenda is approved and we can move forward. Oh, okay. Sorry, Davey, I'll figure that out later. Thank you. Okay, so on to our meeting minutes. If you had a chance to review these earlier, that's great. And I am just going to pop into the chat here a link to the minutes. So that should go to everyone. It's a tiny URL. So you can pull that up and take a moment, have a look through. And again, the year in review will be of what we did in 2020, because that AGM was held in January of 2021. So all the notes you see in there and the meeting minutes are about what happened in 2020. So just take a moment to read through those if you hadn't already. And in just a minute here, we will release a poll to approve the meeting minutes from last year. So Vince, whenever you're ready, you can put that poll up. And we'll just give you a minute here. Awesome. So seeing those approve votes roll in, that's great. Okay, great. So we've got a majority of the people here have voted, so we can end that poll and those meeting minutes are approved. Thank you guys. That's great. Oh, and it looks like we have a community engagement poll coming up. So where are you zooming in from tonight, just to get a sense of who's out there? Squamish, Whistler, Vancouver, somewhere else? All right, so perhaps unsurprisingly, most of you are in Squamish. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We would have loved to do this in person with you, but unfortunately COVID would not allow. So we are so stoked that you're still joining us here via Zoom, and it means we get to see our friends on here from Whistler, Vancouver, and elsewhere as well. So we're so glad that you could all join us. Thank you so much. All right, and we'll actually, great. Well, actually, Vince, you can share those results and then people can see them.
Noted. Will do.
Okay. So how long have you been a Sorca member? All right, so there's a pretty good spread. There we go. So thank you to those who have been here for 15 or more years. That is amazing. And everyone else who's been here for any amount of years, thank you guys so much for continuing to stay with us. It's awesome to have this community here. Okay, next one. Earliest date for a snow-free Masheter, permitting no more snowfalls. Make your best guess given the options below. I like this one.
I think this one may have been shut down already.
Oh,
So I'm gonna have to move it on to the next one, but it's snow related as well. So
okay.
Hopefully it's enjoyed.
Next up. Okay. Out of the trails below, which will be snow free first? Some already are. Angry M, 19th hole, roller coaster, or it's ski season and I can wait. Excellent. Okay. And results are shared. So most people are still happy to be skiing, it would seem. And that's great. So roller coaster or Angry M? I guess we'll find out. I don't know if you know the answer to that, Vince.
I know Angry M is clear, but I'm sure there's a lot of guys or a lot of people on here that would know more and probably have a list of them already sorted out.
Okay, great. All right. And oh, we need to move to the next slide for this one, Marianne. Which trail crew member has the cuter trail dog? Lomi with Dave Reed, Mila with Nicole Kennedy, or this is a cruel and unfair question to ask. I think they're both pretty cute. These dogs have done a lot of work on the trails for you guys. So we definitely want to appreciate their efforts. Okay, so most people, I'm assuming, felt like they could not decide because both of these dogs are just too cute. So it's a cruel and unfair question. But both Lomi and Mila also got some votes. So that's great. Okay, so thank you for participating in those polls. Hopefully that was a little bit of fun. And now we're going to hand it over to President Jeff Norman to talk about the last year of our 20s and your 20s.
So thanks again. Thanks, Helen and Brennan, for the land acknowledgement, and Vince for those polls. So this is Sorca's 29th year that's completed. So of course I had to figure out, trust Mr. Google to see did we do everything that we're supposed to do in our last year of our 20s? And Google told me a few things. So first thing that Google told me was we're supposed to throw some big parties. We did that with the help of our sponsors, as always. That one at Logger Sports, thrown by One Up, was a great time. About 400 people out. That was fantastic. Next thing, of course, the last year of 20s is not just about parties. It's about growing up a little bit. So to do that, we worked on our first ever strategic plan. With Helen really led this process, and the strategic plan that Helen's going to talk about a little bit more later is really going to guide our actions over the next number of years. Also, the last year of 20, you're supposed to stop comparing yourselves to others, but you know what? That's one thing that we're probably not going to listen to. We may still compare ourselves to some others when it suits us best, as is evident in this example. If you're a hockey player, last year, 20, when you're 29, you're getting near the end of your career. We don't think Sorca is getting to near the end of our career, but we also thought it was important to sign a long-term contract. So our 3-year agreement with the District of Squamish was expiring this year. And the district has been incredibly supportive of us over the years. So this year we worked on another agreement with them. That offers us a little bit more operational certainty. This is really big for a not-for-profit like us. It gives us the ability to leverage these funds for other grants and gives us some operational certainty to bring back our core trail crew back year after year. So this agreement is a 4-year agreement that we signed with the district. It started with $90,000 this year and is increasing by $5,000 every year thereafter. A big thanks to the district mayor and council. They've really been supportive of trails, and they know how important they are to this town. So we are really appreciative. Another thing in the last year of 20s is to be grateful. There are so many people in this mountain bike community that put in incredible efforts to make Squamish what it is today. So this includes, volunteers who are out there. A big thanks to all of our staff for working so hard, sponsors, builders, really everyone. And we certainly can't mention everyone because there are so many. So thanks to everyone who's contributed this year. This is one of the most important things that we've done this year, and it just hasn't been this year. It's been a long process. We want to really focus on our last year in our 20s, focusing on important relationships. We're thrilled to announce that we formalized our relationship with the Squamish Nation by entering into a precedent-setting memorandum of understanding with them. This agreement is a stepping stone in our 10-year relationship with them. And I'm going to speak a little bit further about it later on. We're also really thrilled to be continuing to support the Squamish Nation Youth Mountain Bike Program that's run by Matt Van Oostum. So we think that we accomplished a lot in the last year of our 20s. We're looking forward to our 30s. We're going to talk about what we're going to do in our 30s a little bit later. As always, we would like to thank, we are losing a few key board members this year. A special note to some of the board members, I wish that you would loosen up your social media privacy settings so I can get a few more appropriate pictures. But I could only use what I could work with. So we're losing Mr. Evan Power. Also, next slide there, Nate McKay, who was a race director this year. Kristen Courtney, who was director of risk management. Mike Jones, who's director of community engagement. Nick Gottlieb will be losing kind of later on in the spring when he moves. He's going to continue on for a little bit as our trails director. And Belinda Grant, who's sponsorship. I want to do a special thanks to Belinda, Kristen, and Evan, who all served multiple terms on the board and really contributed a lot in their own ways to making us the organization that we are today. So now I'm going to pass it off to Helen to talk a little bit about our membership this year.
Awesome. Thank you. So membership. This was a banner year for our membership, despite the ongoing pandemic, which is just so cool to see. So this year we had 2,668 members, which is our highest ever. And we did find that the auto renew feature was incredibly helpful in bringing in and streamlining things for returning members. And this helps us out a lot by giving us a more coherent financial picture much earlier in the year. So rather than having people sign up for memberships around April, we know in December, we have a pretty good sense of where things are headed. So hopefully the auto renew feature works well for you guys too. And big thank you to Spruce Registrations for setting that up. Our membership has remained fairly consistent, I would say, over the last couple of years. So a relatively close to 50-50 split between folks identifying as male or female, and some also identifying as non-binary. And ages have also remained fairly consistent over the years, so largely between 25 to 55, and so not as many in the younger age bracket. But that said, the family membership is very popular. 60% of our membership sold were family memberships. So we do know that there's a lot of families in town here who have their younger shredders on the family membership. So we are seeing some younger demographics there. And 75% of our members this year are based in Squamish, in last year were based in Squamish, with others distributed between Pemberton to Vancouver, and of course, further abroad. I know that we have some members from the States and from Europe who try and get here when they can and just love the Squamish Trail. So thank you guys. But great to know that, we obviously still have a very strong membership base here locally, which is wonderful. So next up, I'm going to talk a little bit about governance and then the strategic planning that Jeff mentioned. So we had a big year for planning. First off, in terms of governance, we formalized our committee structure, which has really enabled us to start including more volunteers and keep building capacity to support the major areas of our work. So we have committees for trails, advocacy, events, membership and fundraising, governance, and finance. And we're going to be looking at how to continue to build these committees and involve community members, volunteer capacity, and have the community inform the work we're doing and carry out the mission and goals of the organization, and ensure we're really maximizing that structure to support the board and the work that's going on. And in terms of policies, we really just got to one big one this year, which was finalizing our contractor selection policy and sharing that out with the community. So I know that went out in a newsletter a while back, so maybe some of you have seen it. But this policy was really hugely helpful for us to start ensuring transparency and professionalism when we're selecting contractors to complete work on the trails and in other areas of the work that we do. And so for those who are interested in that process moving forward, the policy is available on our website in the news section. And that just goes through, what are the steps that we're taking depending on the size of the contract and the nature of the work to source a contractor. And if you're interested in being put on a list to be notified about RFPs or being considered for smaller projects, please do get in touch with us because it's great to have a list of who's in town doing the work, whether that's trail work, whether that's communications, creative work, stuff like that. And the really big piece of planning work that we did this year was to develop a 4-year strategic plan. So this is the first time that Sorca has had a strategic plan, which is very exciting. And given our growth as an organization, it was absolutely time for this to happen. So the strategic plan lays out our vision and our mission, and also the goals and priorities of how we're going to achieve that vision and mission over the next 4 years or work towards achieving it. So the process was led by the Whistler Center for Sustainability and Community Engagement, great local group, and they facilitated our board through 3 planning sessions. So thank you to the board for coming out to those sessions and participating. And that allowed us to nail down a vision, a mission, and the goals and priorities. And a big thanks to the community members who contributed, because we sent out a survey and got a lot of amazing feedback from members and the community about what they wanted to see Sorca doing, what the key values were, what they really wanted to see in the trail network and in the community as a whole. So we heard fun, accessibility and inclusion, sustainability and stewardship of the trails were all really important across the board for people. We know folks want to see a diversity of trail types built, maintained, and protected. And of course, mountain biking is still at the heart of what we do, but we're working for all our members. So all the folks who use the trails we maintain, whether on wheels or on feet, and making sure that those trails are accessible for different abilities and diverse interests. So our mission has not changed drastically. Marianne, if you can go to the next slide, that would be great. So we're still looking at delivering awesome events and programming, maintaining the trails, supporting new builds, and advocating for their protection. But we've just gotten a lot clearer on what the actual goals and priorities are to achieve those. So these are some highlights. You probably won't be able to read through all of this. I'll just tell you some top level items out of here. But like I said, the strategic plan is available on our website under the news section. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please feel free to go have a look and get really familiar with the work we want to do. We're talking about well-built and maintained trails, ensuring that the network is inclusive, that user capacity is considered, that building community is valued and supported, and that we're working in a good way and in alignment with the Squamish Nation, that events are diverse and encourage participation from many users and offer educational opportunities and contribute to community partnership and financial sustainability. And then we have some goals around the organization itself, that we are sustainable, that we are a community-focused organization that values its people and has strong relationships with a lot of partners and supporters. And I think the key thing here that, we've always known, but also came out in this process, is that we can't achieve any of this by ourselves. So community partnerships, supporters, volunteers, members are also essential. And so we want you to come along for the ride with this plan. So as I say, if you have a chance to read through it in more depth, and you have ideas about how we can achieve these things you'd like to do, that you would like to partner with us on, please feel free to reach out and let us know. And we'd love to hear from you. So next, I think we have, Marianne talking about events.
Great. Hi, everyone. So we had events this past year. So we were grateful to have some fun events when we had the window to be social. It was incredible to see everyone come out. I want to thank our Sorca Events Committee for pulling together what seemed impossible to do our challenges, social rides, and also races. Thank you to Vince, Evan, Johnny, Nate, and Davey for all of your organizing and adapting to all that came our way over the event season. We started off our season with the All-Stars and Underdogs. A big thanks to Evan for this brilliant idea. We had 3 amazing social rides and a youth ride and race. A huge shout out goes out to our sponsors who support our social and races. One Up for hosting the first pandemic social, Ride Hub, Fitzpub, Julie, Phoenix Real Estate, Norman Rudy, CC Sky Welding, Sunflower Bakery, and Team Squamish. BBOD turned 20, and a big high five goes out to Brian and Daniel Reiser for putting on this event. Girls Bike Squamish also made a return to weekly rides. Thank you to Sherry Staples and her volleys for organizing and leading the GBS rides. For our annual birthday celebration, we hosted 29 trails in Achenko during the Halloween weekend. Thanks to everyone who made signs and to Joyride who carved out the most beautiful grizzly and Sea to Sky Welding for their legacy sign. Huge props goes out to Nate for delivering a grueling Valley Cliff race. And of course, thanks to everyone who joined our events and for keeping our events safe. And we'll be back and stronger for this next upcoming season.
Oops. Okay, so this slide is from last year, and we were trying to update it, and it did not get updated in time because we were having some technical difficulties. So it was actually just supposed to be blank and say thank you, sponsors. But anyways, here are the 2020 sponsors. And you can look at that, but I'll actually just tell you about our 2021 sponsors and supporters. Some of them are the same, some of them are different than what's on the slide. So of course, we've had so many incredible supporters. Some have been with us for years, and all these groups, companies, people are essential for our ongoing operations, selling our merchandise, trail maintenance and builds, supporting our advocacy efforts, and continuing to grow our youth programming. Many of these folks have also contributed directly to new trail builds and maintenance through their own initiatives, trail days, etc., and have made some incredible events happen, as Marianne mentioned. So I want to give a quick shout out in particular to some of our double black diamond supporters from this past year. One Up continues to one up themselves, contributing financially through trail maintenance, new trail builds, and incredible events for the members. And Squamish 50 has come through for the second year in a row that they weren't actually able to run their event at full capacity or during their usual race season, but has still managed to contribute as one of our biggest sponsors, which is really amazing. Home Depot stepped up. Home Depot Foundation contributed to the Squamish Nation Youth Program at the double black diamond level. And Corsa Cycles and their customers also raised a ton of money for us this past summer at the double black level. And Nesters as well, selling our merch, always being a huge supporter for us. So thank you for that. A shout out to our Black Diamond level trail champs. So these are the companies that adopt a particular trail at the Black Diamond level and also contribute to maintenance across the network. And that includes Smith Optics, Stark Architecture, Pink Bike Trail Forks, and Sea to Sky Welding. So thank you guys for that. Some other Black sponsors we had this year: Lululemon, Dialed In has contributed a ton to the Squamish Nation Youth Program, Thuja Architecture. At the blue level, we have Capra Running, Fluid Function, the Squamish Community Foundation, and Landsea. And at the green level, we have Mons Royal, MGM Alternative, Ride Hub, Sea to Sky Veterinary Clinic, Allison Brome, Cascade Environmental, and Charge Racing. And if I forgot anyone, I'm so sorry. I have a list here, but not the slide that we were anticipating. So thank you to everyone. And those I didn't name, thank you to the builders who we've worked with, who've donated a ton of their time as well. I know we'll talk about that more in trails. But again, all of the in-kind support, the volunteer support, the financial support has been just really incredible. So thank you again. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Kelsey for a review of our financials.
Thanks, Ellie. All right, so this is everyone's favorite part of the evening. So we finished this year with total income of $559,000, which is a 16% increase over last year. Our largest sources of revenue continue to be a mix of grant and subsidies combined with sales of memberships and trail passes. The increase in grants and subsidies was driven primarily by provincial funding for the Brennan Park Skills Park, combined with consistent funding from the DOS and our eligibility for various government programs to help offset our operating expenses. The increase in memberships and trail passes was made possible through an increase in membership revenue and a nice bonus, an increase in our corporate memberships this year. Total expenses this year were $384,000, which increased 10% over last year. Trail crew wages and related expenses continue to be our largest expense, followed by operations payroll and operational expenses. The increase in operational payroll is a function of one additional employee for a full year who's helped to oversee and execute on our strategic objectives. And the increase in operational expenses was primarily related to higher spend on professional fees. So overall, we've had a strong finish to 2021 again, finishing the year with a surplus of $176,000 and net assets of $484,000. And at our December board meeting, we voted to internally restrict $215,000 of our net assets, which will go towards funding some exciting projects in the upcoming year. And just wanted to say again, thank you to all of our supporters, members, and volunteers.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelsey. Next up, we have Nick talking. Oh, no, we have a poll. We have a poll. All right, Vince, what's the poll? Which riding area do you ride most frequently? Diamond Head, Alice Lake, Valley Cliff, or other? I'm so curious what the other would be. All right, responses are coming in. All right, so mostly Alice Lake, some Diamond Head, a little bit less love for the Valley Cliff, but that's okay. I know it's a favorite for many. Okay. Next. What is the most underrated riding zone in Squamish? Diamond Head, Alice Lake, Valley Cliff. There we go. There's the love for Valley Cliff. All right. Valley Cliff, most underrated. All right. Looks like we have a few more. Next up, do you prefer Sorca socials or Cinco's? Or do you like both equally? When we can have them. All right. Looks like the socials are a little more popular, but there's also a number of people who like both equally, which is great. We'll keep doing them both. Out of some of the options below, what are some of your preferred race types that you might like to see and potential preferred format options? Please select one or more. If you have other ideas, let us know. Okay, there's a few options here. All right, we're thinking about it. We've got some more answers rolling in. Okay. Looks like multi-stage enduro for sure. And then technical XC. And then downhill racing too. And then, yeah, looks like there's a lot of popular options there. Good feedback. Okay, I think that was the last one. So now we're going to go to Nick for some talk on trails.
Yeah, so it was a tough year in BC because of the interrelated crises of COVID and the climate crisis. And surprisingly enough, that impacted our trail work season quite a bit. I don't know if everyone remembers, but we had actually the driest season on Western record for the driest, longest period. And that really limited a lot of what our trail crew could do for about half the summer. And it also limited what we could do in terms of hosting volunteer trail days. But we worked around that as best we could. I think we got a lot done anyway. And we sort of made do with adverse conditions. Our trail crew put in over 3,000 hours. We had contractors work over 300 hours. We had sort of volunteer trail work challenge that we stole the idea up shamelessly from the Pemberton Trail Organization. That was a big success. We got a lot of people out on the trails doing work. We had Sorca organized community trail days that, because of COVID, took a little bit of a different tack than usual. So I know everyone's used to the sort of like 100+ person get out and do some trail work days. And we did a bunch of smaller days with local builders and with the Sorca trail crew, and took more of an instructional focus. And that was partially because of COVID, but I think it was also really appreciated by the people who came. And so I think going forward, we're hoping to do both kinds of trail days if COVID allows us to. There's, as you can see on the slide, we did a lot of bridge work. We rebuilt some things. The biggest highlight that I'm sure most people here are aware of is the rebuild of Pseudo, which was done with Gravity Logic, and I think was a huge success. Our trail crew was heavily involved in that project and will be involved in some of the problems with it that developed over the fall with the big rains. But we are looking forward to another good season on Pseudo this year. We've been helping out with some volunteer builders who are leading Section 57 builds, including a trail called Intergalactic, which we're all pretty excited about opening. And as always, the Sorca trail crew, as well as the many volunteer trail sort of ferries that go out with chainsaws whenever trees come down, have been out doing blowdowns, have been out cutting vegetation, and really just doing hundreds of hours of stuff that you probably wouldn't notice. So yeah, we're immensely grateful for the volunteer trail community, and for our trail crew and all the hard work they've put in the heat wave and the dust. Jim, I'll just answer that question real quick. There's Jim Harvey's new trail is a Section 57 trail. I actually can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's off the North Side Connector. And I believe it will be opening in full this coming season. Helen, you can go to the next slide. So I'll just talk briefly about what we're looking to do going forward, although I should also mention, as Jeff said, I am leaving Squamish, so I'll be working on some of this stuff with Dave and with whoever comes on as a trail crew or as a trail board member over the next few months before handing off the reins. But we're really looking to continue to grow Sorca's in-house trail building capacity, and sort of be able to move forward with a number of Sorca-led trail projects on Crown land, and then through partners with developers and other stakeholders in the area. And then we're also looking to continue to support the volunteer trail builder community and try to work to coordinate more closely with them, and to sort of, as in our strategic planning process, we outlined, really take a holistic look at what we can do to plan the trail network in a cohesive way, and ensure all of our efforts are spent in the best way possible. Thanks.
All right, so we've got Davey here to talk about advocacy.
All right, thanks, Helen. So it was a lot. Sorca is working on a lot of different fronts with advocacy and government relations. This group has been led by the very capable hand of Brennan Williams. So one of the things that we worked on this year was continuing to support the Squamish Nation Youth Mountain Bike Program by providing funding and in-kind support. And last year, new coaches were hired and the program was expanded. So we're looking to do more of that this year. For the trails inventory, so Sorca has been undertaking a comprehensive trails inventory that's supported by the District of Squamish, the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District, and the province of BC. So the point of the trail inventory is to catalog all of the trails in Squamish and identify their relative use and their value to the community. And that really helps inform the various levels of government and landowners about the recreational trail values in Squamish, so that they can take those into account when they, move forward in shaping the future of Squamish. The North Crumpet Woods development, probably many of you have seen this a little bit in the news. So we've engaged directly with the proponents of that development. It has the potential to impact a large number of trails in the Valley Cliff area. So we're advocating for no net loss of trails and also engaging directly with the District of Squamish on the proposed development, including through the community planning process. And so as part of that work is doing the trail inventory and highlighting the ones that are most valuable to the community that we'd like to maintain as Sorca. Similarly, with the Chima lands, Sorca is continuing to engage with the developer to ensure access to those 2 lots. And, the status really remains unchanged at this time. And again, the trail inventory work is going to really inform the future collaboration with the developer and the planning process that goes into that. Another one that Sorca worked on was the Chikai debris flow barrier. So many of you may have heard of this. Matthews West is the development agent for that project. And, specifically it's right near where Dead End Loop is. And so Sorca has been working with Matthews West and other stakeholders to make sure that, the impacts to Dead End Loop are managed, and that we, even maybe have the opportunity to identify some new mountain bike opportunities in that area that would coincide with the construction of the barrier. Forest fire fuel management. So probably many of you have seen at the bottom of the climbing trail, the Diamond Head climbing trail, a lot of trees were cut down. So the purpose of that was, working with the province on fuel management in that area and just managing trail closures and parking impacts, and making sure that the trail was kept as open as possible. So provincial mountain bike trail policy, the BC government through BC Recreation Sites and Trails, they have an initiative right now to update the current mountain bike trail policy. And that includes the policy as well as standardizing the difficulty rating matrix for trails across the province, as well as the signage templates. And their goal is to really, keep the provincial policy relevant with the rapidly evolving nature of recreational mountain biking in BC, and taking into account that as mountain biking evolves, trails are getting more difficult, and adding things like a formal double black diamond difficulty rating to the policy. So we're working with them on that and provided feedback to them. The Sea to Sky Visitor Use Management Plan. So specifically in the Shannon Basin area, we've continued to engage with that. And that's a project that's co-led by the province and the Squamish Nation. So, in that process, Sorca is continuing to advocate for current and future mountain bike opportunities in that area. And then finally, the Debex Hill Rec Site. So we provided feedback on the proposal to the province to establish Debex area as a recreation site. And Sorca is continuing to engage with the province on that project. And, Sorca is hoping that that project will advance further this year in 2022. We know that, capacity is a challenge at many levels of government these days. So we're doing our best to prioritize the projects we want to move forward. And this is certainly one of them. So that's what I have to report for the advocacy work. Thanks, Helen.
Awesome. Thanks, Tavy. And I see, Jeff, is this the slide that you are going to talk about for looking forward to 2022?
This is, nope, we're going to talk about the MOU a little bit more. Here.
Okay.
Yep. I just wanted to give a little more details about this memorandum of understanding and what it means for our mountain bike community. Again, this really has been a goal for us to build a relationship with the Squamish Nation for a number of years, and we're so grateful that this has moved forward. Mountain biking, of course, is nothing without the trails that we ride on. All of the trails lie within the territory of the Squamish Nation, and as more and more land is returned to them, more and more of our trails are on their privately owned lands. So we really felt it's important to have, if we want to have the social and legal license to continue to use these trails, that we really recognize their unequivocal rights to self-determinacy on their lands. We've been working closely with their rights and title department for about 3 years now on this initiative. This small department has a lot on their plates. Their department dealing with residential schools, with old growth logging, with basically any major project that happens within the Squamish Nation's territory. And as you can imagine, their territory runs from the Fraser River all the way north to Whistler and west to Gibsons. So there's a lot of projects going on. So the fact that they saw the importance of trails and mountain biking in the Squamish Valley area, we're incredibly grateful. This MOU passed through their council through the full government in the fall. And we really see it as a stepping stone in our relationship. It outlines a number of projects that we're going to be working on with them in the coming years. So Chen Kinwatumi to all those who have been involved in making this happen, specifically Peter Baker from the Squamish Nation, Arthur from the Squamish Nation, and Usman Valiente, who's been helping out on our side and who's been integral to the process. Thanks so much to everyone, and we're looking forward to this, implementing this in the coming years. So 2022, what are we going to do? This is just going to be a small summary of some of the projects that we have on the go. A lot is going to be determined by the new board when they come in, but we've got a few things plans that are kind of rolling out already. First, yeah, no, that's good. Next one. First thing we're doing in 22 is not quite that celebratory. We're saying goodbye to our first executive director, Helen Bainon. You've been listening to Helen tonight, and she's been a joy to work with for the last 3-ish years. Thanks, Helen, for everything that you've done. As everyone can imagine, there's a lot of strong, passionate people in the mountain bike world who come on our executive. And Helen has helped us, make sure that everyone has a voice. She's been a steady hand and has really done a lot to bringing us modernizing our organization. So thank you so much, Helen, for everything you've done. So what else we're going to do in our 30th year is we're going to try to do a lot of things that we want to do in our 20s. We brought all these projects to the AGM last year because we really thought we were going to get some of them approved, but we didn't. So the capacity, as Davey mentioned, capacity at rec sites and trails is really limited, and I think there's some news articles that are going around about that right now. It really shouldn't take this long, more than 1.5 years to get some of these things approved, but it is at this point. So we're constantly advocating for more capacity there. We're in constant discussions with that arm of the government about these projects and trying to get them to prioritize them. We are hopeful and confident that 1 or 2 of them will move forward in this year. The parking lot has gone out for referral, so hopefully we'll get some news on that soon. We're also working on the Brendan Park Skills Park refurbishment. Thanks to the province and the District of Squamish. Special thanks to the District of Squamish on this. We came to them later in the budget process to support the funding. A lot of municipalities, or most municipalities, you're having to spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars on these types of facilities. We're lucky that we've got some funds from the province. We're going to also raise some more funds, and we're going to need some support from the community to make this happen. So we're going to continue in the planning process as soon as the snow is gone from that area this year. We also have a number of other projects and initiatives on the go. Of course, we really want to get back to our regular events. We're confident and hopeful we can do that and throw some special ones in there because it's our 30th year. We're going to put our strategic plan into action, continue to work with the Squamish Nation on the outcomes and steps in the MOU, and continue work on a number of our advocacy initiatives. And of course, we also have a new executive director on board, Mr. Ian Lowe, that we're, as sad as we are to see Helen go, we are excited about what Ian brings to our organization. Ian, did you want to say a quick hello?
I would love to, Jeff.
Okay, excellent.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to have recently started my new role as executive director for Sorca. From the first time riding a Wednesday night race in Squamish over 20 years ago, I've always felt a really deep connection to this organization and its integral place in our community. I was a former race director, and therefore I understand firsthand the commitment this organization relies upon from our volunteer board, and I look forward to putting my experience that I've had over the last 20 years in various other careers in a supportive role for the president, the board of directors, and staff as we work to achieve the club's recently adopted strategic plan. On a personal basis, my wife and 2 daughters are all active outdoor enthusiasts, and we spend as much time in the forest and on the water as we possibly can. And we place a huge value on access to trails and green space within our community. And I look forward to, over the next few months, reconnecting with many of you and meeting many of you as we can, as we kind of go through this journey together. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Ian. Excellent. So we're going to move on to some question and answers. So there's a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. If you want to pop any Q&A in there, go ahead. We're open to any questions about any number of wonderful things that are going on in the Sorca world.
I'll just note there was already one question in there about getting to know more about the advocacy projects. And Brennan has given you all free leave to email him and ask more. So you can chat with him about those initiatives. And I know we're always talking about doing a better job of communicating what's happening with those projects in our newsletter and social media. So that might be something that we're able to do a bit more of this year. It's just not usually as sexy as the events to communicate out easily.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, we got some of you out there. Okay, I can handle that. We got one about what we need to do right now to help with trail work clearing pre-spring. You know what? There's a lot of trees down, obviously, a lot of snow on the ground. You know, if you're out there and you feel confident and safe about clearing trees, that's really helpful for us. But you know, work within your skill level and safety comfort level is really important. As you see the snow melts off the trails, there's going to be a lot of drainage issues with water running down the trails. So as always, try to get water running off the trails is important as well. Can you please, okay, we got one from Doug Top here about elaborating on Valley Cliff sub-area plan. So the district is really running this process about the Valley Cliff sub-area plan. We are working with them as a stakeholder. They've done some public engagement as well. So, you know, I think what our role there is, you know, we're going to put in our responses to what's important in the area from Sorca's point of view, but we'll also you know, work to share any opportunity for public feedback on that plan as well, Doug.
There's one there about elaborating on the purpose of the DevEx rec site. I don't know if you want to take.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So the DevEx Hill rec site is basically, there wouldn't be really much change from a day-to-day point of view. There's not going to be any camping in that, in that proposed rec site. It basically would designate a whole chunk of the area as being primarily used for recreation, which it is already right now. So right now, if there was you know, an application for a quarry, for example, or something else in the area, and the various government stakeholders were deciding on that quarry application, they wouldn't really necessarily see the you know, incredible value of recreation there. But if you get a rec site designation there, you know, they'd be able to assess that value. So it adds basically another level. It would add another level of protection from a recreation perspective. And then Jillian asked, wondering how we get the parking data. I assume you're wondering about the image that we had up on on the for a slide for the Lower Diamond Head parking. That was with the Trail Folks. Has a lot of great features there. They have basically a ride start heat map that maps where people start their rides. So not necessarily parking, but where they start their Trail Forks or Strava.
Great. Nick, I see you were typing something out. Do you have something else you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say on the rec site front, it's really a BC government-led initiative that we're participating in to make sure that it, that we get the most for trails out of it that we can. But it's not entirely our goals that are being pursued there.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nick. That rec site obviously would be used by the whole community. Sorca, it's proposed that Sorca would be the organization maintaining the trails on the rec site, as we do in partnership with our volunteer community right now. Okay. It looks like we have covered most of the questions. So if there are no more, we will move on. Helen, I'll let you kind of lead this, but I think the elections is next.
Yeah, so we are going to head into the elections part of the evening. Very exciting. And let me just get here. Okay, so we have 3 roles that have been basically won by acclamation, which essentially just means that we only had one person running for that role by the time the deadline passed for applications. So those 3 roles have been filled by those 3 people. And so we'll have those 3 folks say hello and introduce themselves towards the end of this after we've done the voting for the other roles. I will say, if you did not have a chance to apply or you thought about applying, missed the deadline, anything like that, like we said, we do have these committees and we're really looking for community input and a diversity of views. So don't hesitate to reach out because we'll have elections again year over year. And we love to have people who've been involved, continue to be involved, and can take on new roles. So the order for elections tonight will be first up, the Director of Social Rides, then Director of Fundraising and Membership, then Director of Races. And then we have a Director at Large position, which is going to be anyone who ran for the other roles and did not get elected to the role they ran for will be considered for the Director at Large position. We had a lot of awesome candidates this year. And so anyone who doesn't get elected in the role they applied for can come out for this role, and they'll be helping out with a variety of board initiatives, events, etc., in the Director at Large role. And this was just a way for us, again, to keep increasing capacity. So first up, we have the Social Rides position. So we're going to hear from Patricia Ng. And then we have a video from Carol Ann St. Laurent, who couldn't be here tonight because of her work schedule. She's on shift as a flight attendant and couldn't get out of it. So Patricia, if you could please raise your hand, like use the raise hand function in Zoom so that we can enable you to talk. Oh, perfect. It's been done. Okay, so Patricia, you can unmute yourself and turn on your video and just give us a 2-minute intro about why you're interested in this role and what you'd like to bring to Sorca.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Patricia. I'll share a bit about myself, why I'd love to be involved, and some thought starters. I was born and raised in Vancouver, lived in Ontario for 11 years and moved back to BC in 2020. I learned to mountain bike in Toronto, which means 3 things. I learned to mountain bike really in 2020 since I've been back. 2, I've had to part ways with my beloved cross-country bike. And by the way, only got interest from an 11-year-old rider here to buy the bike. And 3, I feel like the luckiest person every time I hit the trails. You know, the stoke that you see, hear, and feel when you bring a friend down Half Nelson for their very first time. My hope is to share that stoke with others, more people, and develop it within others through the sport, trails, and community. I have 3 thoughts at this time around designing for social events. 1, I believe in listening to community members, including sponsors, to understand what they care about and need, what's working well and not, and what are the feelings within the community it is we want to foster. We can then intentionally design for what's most important to those that we serve, that Sorca is uniquely positioned to fulfill, so that people choose Sorca events on Wednesdays and postpone playing cribbage for Thursdays. I kid, I love cribbage. For those where cost is a barrier to participate, might offering sliding scale pricing to some events or offering X number of free entries per month, potentially in exchange for volunteer hours, help. As we learn, Sorca is strengthening ties with the Squamish Nation, and I'd love to incorporate what we decide together are the critical ingredients to build genuine reciprocal relationships with the Squamish Nation within social events, perhaps including a learning component to hear stories about the land and learn what the land is about so that we know how to protect her and take steps to give back to the land that gives us so much. I'd be very grateful for the opportunity to serve. It's very nice to meet you all, and thanks for taking the time to learn about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patricia. And I am going to load this video, so bear with me here. Okay. I'm hoping everyone can see that.
Hi, good evening, Sorca members. I'm Caro, and I'm sorry that I can't make it tonight to the AGM. I am currently working, which is very bad timing, but here's a video that tells you why I think I would be a right fit for either the position of memberships and fundraising or the socials. First of all, I think because of my passion for mountain biking, I did learn to bike in Squamish 3 years ago, which I think I'm really lucky. And I also always been super grateful for the amazing trail network that we have here. And I do know that it takes lots of work. So I hope I can help, and I like to be part of it. So here we go. And I also have experience on previous board. A few years ago back in Quebec, I was VP and also been president of an association called the Women in Business of Val d'Or. That taught me a lot because I had to organize like the meetings, the monthly dinner with the members, had to deal with membership and also the marketing. So that was really, really, really good way to learn a lot. And I think these skills will be like really helpful in the position that I'm applying for tonight. And also I'm a flight attendant, so I do have quite a bit of flexibility in my schedule and lots of time to give back to the community. So yeah, I think that's a few reasons why I'd love to be on the board, and I think I would be a right fit. I do come with a strong accent, but also with lots of energy and drive. So I hope I'm going to have the chance to meet you soon. Have a good night and a good AGM. Bye.
All right. So now we will release the poll to vote for that social director position. Vince, if you could do that. Great. Just give you another couple seconds here. A few people left to vote. Okay, a couple more seconds and a couple more votes coming in. All right. Okay. Great. Okay. So Patricia Ng, congratulations. You are our new socials director, and we're really excited to have you on board. Welcome. Okay, so we can close that poll and go on to the next roll here. Okay, so Patricia was actually running for that one as well. So her name's going to show up in the poll, but don't vote for her because she already has a position. So Carol was running for this position as well. I'm not going to play her video again, but you got a good sense of her. So we will go to the next two folks who applied for this position. We have Jackie McKinley and Seb Vetter. So we'll start with Jackie McKinley. So Jackie, perfect. She's got her hand raised. Oh, Jackie, if you could. Jackie. Okay, promoting Jackie to panelist there. Perfect. Okay, so Jackie, we will have you go first just because we're going in alphabetical order.
All right, sorry, my internet has been a little spotty, so hopefully this goes smoothly. Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie McKinley, and I'm really excited to be here tonight. As I mentioned in my application, if you happen to read that, I'm a Squamish transplant. And upon making the big move from the city to the mountains about a year ago, all of my friends told me, when you're ready to take up mountain biking, you have to become a Sorca member. And this struck me as interesting for a couple of reasons. First off, all of my friends knew I was going to take up and fall in love with mountain biking before I did, which speaks volumes to the mountain biking in Squamish. And second, the fact that literally everyone emphasized the importance of supporting Sorca made me realize how special this organization is to the Squamish community. And right away, I knew I wanted to be involved. I'm deeply passionate about the outdoors, both playing outside and protecting it, bringing people together and creating a positive impact. I believe that collaboration, prioritizing diverse perspectives and participation, and a willingness to learn is how we can make a real difference. Throughout my marketing career, I've been fortunate enough to work with big outdoor brands and nonprofits on some pretty cool initiatives. During my time at MEC, I launched a $1 million social impact program with a focus on shared value objectives, such as diversity, equity, inclusion, education, and safety. This work included the development and execution of partnership agreements with 11 national nonprofit organizations, such as Parks Canada, Protect Our Winters, and Spirit North, just to name a few. I also worked on the regional events team as race director and developed sponsorship agreements with lots of organizations, Vancouver Milk Fest, for example. Currently, I manage community impact at BCAA, your local roadside assistance, and I am leading the strategy with a focus on member and employee engagement. So ultimately, with my diverse marketing background and connection to the outdoor industry, I believe that I'm not only a strong candidate for this specific role, but I also have a lot of skills that I could leverage to support other Sorca activities and the directors in their work. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and considering me for the sponsorship and membership board position. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie. And next up, we have Seb Vetter.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out. These are two tough acts to follow for sure. So let me see what I can do to do that. I am originally from Germany, moved here about 6 years ago. And I still remember when I was back in Europe, seeing mountain bike videos and being totally blown away and thinking like, this is never going to be something that I'll enjoy. And then got kind of sucked into at least going out to try it on the North Shore. And that kind of paved the way to just the love that I have for mountain biking now, which ended up basically bringing me here. I moved to Squamish about 2 years ago. And I just love being here and being able to go out on the trails, having access to the amazing network that we have. And so one of the things that I've been hoping to do is find a way to give back to our community, to all of the people that are involved in maintaining the trails and making sure that this is the amazing place that it is through advocacy and all of that. I have a little bit of a background in building a volunteer organization. I've built a volunteer conference. My background is in tech, so I've built a tech conference with a group of people over the last 5 years where I was involved a lot with sponsorships. So fundraising seemed like a natural way for me to take some of the skill sets that I've developed there, bring them in and contribute them to the organization. And over the last couple of months, I've already started contributing to the Sorca committee for fundraising. So that's where kind of my skill set lies and where I'm hoping to be able to bring some more building of a good mutual relationship of the sponsors that we already have and bring in new ones, help us have a good financial foundation. And in terms of memberships, I'd like to help find ways to expand our membership, not just in terms of attracting more serious mountain bikers, but also expanding into people that are just enjoying the trails and bikes in whichever capacity they can and they want to. So those are the two big things that I'm really excited about this role for.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Seb. Appreciated. Okay. So we're going to launch the poll to vote for this fundraising and membership role. And just a reminder, don't vote for Patricia. You can vote for Carol Ann, Jackie, or Seb. Okay. Seems like we got most of the votes in. I'll just go another couple seconds. Oh, okay. So the winner is Jackie McKinley. Jackie, welcome. We're excited to have you on board. And for those who are not successful, we hope that you will continue to work on the committee because there's some really great experience here. So hopefully we can engage everyone. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And next up, we have the director of races. So in this category, we're going to hear from Davy Mitchell, Jasmine Swanson, and then Emily Whitmore. So if we can get those three queued up. Great. And Davy, since you're first to go, you can jump in with your 2 minutes.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming to the AGM. So I came on as a Sorca director last year to help out with various committees. I helped Nate put on the Valley Cliff race next year, as well as I helped out Johnny put on one of the youth enduro races. I also helped out on the advocacy and committee with Brennan and the trails committee with Nick. So I really enjoyed doing all that work. And this year I'm running for the race director position. So I'm running because I think group events like racing and socials are really at the heart of what Sorca does and the value that Sorca provides to the community. When I first moved to Squamish 12 years ago, Melissa Sheridan, I'm sure many of you know her. She was running, one of the most successful and well-organized race series that I've ever seen. And it was those Toonie races, now called Senko races, and the incredible after parties that really got me involved in the amazing mountain bike community here. So my vision in this role is to continue growing and evolving the race program. A really key part of that, I think, is ensuring that the race scene is really opening and welcoming to everyone. And, regardless of their age, ability, income, or any other barrier. So I really want to make sure that it's not intimidating and that if you're interested in racing, even if you're a new rider, that we can get you out and you can have a good time. So if I'm elected, I'm be the first to admit that this is a really big role and it would be a tall order to do it alone. people who have done this role in the past have worn huge shoes. Melissa, who I mentioned, our new executive director, Ian Lowe, actually did it for 7 years. And the outgoing race director, Nate McKay, he had a challenging time the last couple of years with COVID, but all those people did really amazing work. So my hope is that a committed group of people who are really passionate about racing can help form a formal race committee. Because I actually think, not only can racing be fun, and I really love racing, but I think putting on races can be really fun too. And I think there are members of this community that really want to be involved in that capacity as well. And I want to make sure that that opportunity is available to them. So I know the last few years have been tough with COVID and race cancellations, but I'm hoping this year can bring back a return to the community race scene that we know and love. And I invite everyone to join in and be a part of it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Davey. And next we have Jasmine Swanson.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name is Jasmine, and I'm really excited to be a part of this super amazing field of candidates that have applied for director positions this year. A little bit about me. I moved to the corridor in 2011. I started with snow sports, but as is tradition, I ended up rebranding as a mountain biker within a season or two. And since then, I've spent nearly 10 years enjoying the results of all the hard work that Sorca volunteers put into our trail network. I'm now hoping that it's my chance to give something back to the community that's given me so much. As an avid and totally mediocre amateur racer, one of my favorite things about racing has been the camaraderie amongst racers and volunteers, whether it be a Senko or a complete enduro sufferfest. When I first got into racing, it was through local events like the Sorca Downhill 2Ds back when those were a thing, and the legendary Hot on Your Heels Enduro. And as a shy newbie at the time, I was blown away by how welcoming other riders and volunteers were. Whether it's as a race director or just a super enthusiastic Sorca member, I want to continue to promote that same sense of fun and achievement and inclusivity at every event. One thing I'm especially passionate about is increasing women's participation in racing, and I'd love to foster an environment that encourages women to give racing a red hot crack. I began volunteering at races about 6 years ago as a way to get more involved in the mountain biking community. One of my most valuable experiences was my season that I volunteered as a treasurer for the Southeast Queensland Downhill Series in Australia. The Queensland downhill scene is super small, but it's really passionate, and the experience gave me valuable insight into all of the components that are required to pull together a successful race. As a treasurer there, I managed most of the account payments, including distribution of prize money, which actually meant that I had to make sure the women got paid the same as the men, because that was a conversation we had to have. And managing our sponsor fund and all account payables and receivables. As far as my professional life goes, I work as a paralegal, and that's helped me develop excellent organizational, administrative, and time management skills. And I've also been a cafe manager, so my cat herding skills are pretty on point, and I can make a pretty mean latte. All in all, I'm looking forward to a super great race season this year, no matter what side of the tape I'm on. And I just want to thank you all so much for giving me a chance to speak tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jasmine. All right. And then we have Emily Whitmore.
Thanks, Helen. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily, and I'm also applying for the race director position. My professional life, I'll start with that, as I'm a physiotherapist and I work in elite snow sports. And after the upcoming games, I will be in a state of transition. So I'm looking at having quite a bit of time to dedicate to this role, which I'm really excited about. In terms of my experience, since 2012, essentially, I've been working in events, coordinating events, putting on events, working with sponsors, fostering sponsorship relationships, as well as community relationships. And additionally, I was the race director for Sorca in 2018 and the beginning of 2019, only leaving just to move. So I'm familiar with putting on races. I enjoy the work. I love hearing, that the community seems to be excited about maybe doing some multi-stage enduro races. I've got a lot of great ideas that we could put forth, also take into consideration what the community wants. when I was working with Worka, I put on the Toonie race weekly. So none of the sync races are bi-weekly. I think we can put a little bit more, energy and care into those. And hopefully, bring them back for COVID free, ideally. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Hopefully I get to work with you this year. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, thank you to all three candidates for telling us about yourselves, and we will release the poll to vote for the Director of Races. Okay, we'll just give it a little bit longer here. Lots of votes coming in. Okay, a little bit longer in case there's any last lingering votes there. Okay. Okay, this was a tight one. Emily, congratulations. You are the new race director. We're very excited to have you on board. And to the others, thank you so much. And hopefully you can all be a part of a race committee, because it sounds like we're going to need a lot of hands on deck to make it an awesome race season. Okay. So as I mentioned, we also have this director at large role. And Mary Ann, I don't know if you had a chance to create the slide with the list of, yeah, okay, great. Perfect. So we are going to release a poll to vote for this director at large position. All the names are going to be on there, but obviously some of them have already been elected to other positions. So you can vote for Carol Ann, for Seb, for Davy, or for Jasmine. And this is going to be a position that kind of helps out across the board with events, with advocacy, wherever they're needed and whatever their particular skill set is, just to enhance overall capacity. So if we could release that poll. Okay, doing well here. A couple more seconds. Okay, so Davy, welcome back to the board in a director at large position. Excited to have you back. And for the others, well, Carol's not here. Jasmine and Seb, like I said, we are so thankful that you stepped forward to run tonight. You guys have a lot to offer, and we're hopeful that we can still see you on the committees and participating in other ways. So thank you guys so much. So that's an end to the roles that needed election. And now we're going to hear from the directors who won by acclamation, just so you can see their faces, get to know them, since they're going to be an important part of the community. So we have Kelsey Roberts returning as treasurer. We have Kieran Donnelly for trails and Stephen, I don't know if that's bass or bass, for risk management. And we'll go in that order. So if each of you can just say a few words and introduce yourself, that'd be great. So Kelsey, if you can jump in first and just say hi and welcome back.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm super excited to be on the board again, and welcome to all the new board members. Look forward to hopefully meeting you guys in person soon.
Awesome. Okay. And next up we have Kieran. I think it's Kieran. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in the Trails Director position, that would be great.
Hi, that's the that's the start of the first test. Anyway, I navigated the IT, so I'm thankful for that. Short version of the story. I'm originally from Ireland. After 20 years in the UK, seemingly doing everything quite young in life, I ended up in Squamish with my 4 boys. I echo the comments of a lot of other people. You know, the community has given me so much. And then the business activities I had, the stars sort of aligned, and some poor souls bought them off me. So I've been looking at all the backlog of work that's consequence of the weather and COVID and everything else on the trails. I sort of thought I'd put my hand up. I thought I had a skill set that might be useful. I also think my wife might kick me out shortly if I don't get something purposeful to do. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I like doing stuff, and I grew up on a farm. So hopefully I'll be able to join this group of passionate people and help out. That's pretty much me.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. And yeah, welcome to the team. We're excited to have you. And then we've got Stephen, who is going to be the Director of Risk Management. So maybe you can tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Steve. Just like to super happy to, win, or I forgot the technical term for getting elected running unopposed, but it's cool anyways. My professional background, I work in insurance my whole life. I'm working with a startup focused on collectibles insurance, with hopefully working, I have a side project where I'm trying to get some bike insurance that is actually affordable for everyone. So stay tuned on that. And I'm looking forward to making sure that, we stay, risk-free, let's say, or as best we can, given we're in a risk-on event like mountain biking.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. All right. So to all of the new directors, welcome. And you'll be hearing from Ian, the new executive director, by early next week with the next steps of getting set up, coming to the board meetings, etc. Sorry, my video is still off. Here I am. And again, thank you to everyone who ran. It's really incredible to see every year the talent and the skills and the passion that exist in this community. And I feel very grateful to have worked with so many amazing directors. And it's great to see that there's still more people who are eager to help out and contribute. So thank you guys so much. And thank you to everyone else here for coming out tonight, for listening, for asking questions, for voting. We're hoping for a really awesome 2022. If we all collectively pray for an awesome 2022, it'll happen. So yeah, we're looking forward to hopefully seeing your faces in real time, in real life, out there on the trails and at events. And if you have any questions about anything we said tonight, anything ongoing, always feel free to reach out to any of the directors or just to info@sorca.ca, and we would be happy to chat with you. Okay. Have a great evening, everyone. And if anyone needs to hang around after, that's cool. We will be here until everyone has exited the room.